I discovered my wife's 20-year cheating secret. Then I vanished, divorced her, and rebuilt my life. You never expect it to happen to you. But friends endure the pain of divorce, for various reasons. Trusting and loving your partner. You never think you'll join the ranks of failed marriages. Yet when you glance at divorce rates, especially nowadays, you question the institution of marriage itself. The vow till death do us part rings hollow. Its significance has faded over time. Perhaps I should have noticed the signs, not just from online sources, stories, articles, or simply by being more attentive. Love often tints our perception positively. Despite having a family and a life together, the notion of growing old with someone feels unsettling. Yet, the signs were there, and I had glimpsed them before. My upbringing labeled us a single-parent household eventually. Back then, my parents' marriage seemed robust, filled with love and respect. My father toiled hard, his laborious job took a toll, but he prioritized his family's well-being. Meanwhile, my mother returned to work when my young sister began school. As children, we were oblivious, but hindsight revealed the signs, unraveling the truth. Her affair didn't commence immediately. I was a teenager when it began, with my brother slightly younger and my sister 3 years junior. It unfolded like many illicit romances do. Late work hours, business trips, sudden grooming improvements. Upon returning from rendezvous without smartphones, clandestine calls, and unexplained disappearances marked my mother's interactions. The affair's exposure occurred when my father stumbled upon them. He had wrapped up work early, intending to surprise my mother with an outing. She had claimed a half-day for hairstyling and shopping. Instead, he returned home to find her car in the driveway alongside another he recognized. Entering through the back, he discovered his wife, my mother, with her boss in their bed. Enraged, my father confronted him. The man, Jim Thompson, left our house battered. My father quickly realized that infidelity held no weight in a no-fault divorce country. Some argue possession is 9/10 of the law. Attempting to evict her from the house, he faced resistance from my mother's family. With the house in both their names, she refused to leave. Caught in a bind, staying with her would thwart the divorce, requiring a year of separate living. Despite trying to evict her for infidelity, it wasn't legally enforceable. No-fault divorces can feel unjust, especially when infidelity leads to the split without repercussions. Eventually, my father moved out, unable to find a place for us all. I confronted my mother, planning to move in with him soon. My younger siblings were unaware, puzzled by our father's absence during that tumultuous year. My mother maintained our visits with our father, who struggled emotionally. He confided in me, admitting we were his sole motivation. He aimed for custody and a home, a distant hope in a system biased against men. Despite my desire to live with him, custody favored my mother, as my siblings were deemed too young to decide, leaving us in her care. A silver lining for my father was Australia's lack of alimony. Though spousal maintenance exists, it's not always granted. With our mother earning well, he only had to pay reasonable support. Unlike the United States, Australian child support is fair for the non-residential parent. This spared my father from financial ruin. The following 4 years were tough. I resented my mother, making it clear to any suitor she brought home. By 16, I left her in tears. We barely spoke, and I avoided home as much as possible. Post-divorce, my father found love with Naomi, also divorced. I embraced their relationship, and she became a loving figure to us. Despite reluctance to remarry, they lived together happily. When I turned 18, I left home, unable to tolerate my mother. My parting words were harsh, reflecting years of pent-up frustration. Despite our rift, she cried as I left. I reassured my siblings and promised to stay connected before bidding my mother farewell. My mother's experience made me cautious with women. Aware of my monogamous nature, I sought the same in a partner. After reading numerous articles on infidelity post-high school, I dated casually, aiming to find someone deserving of my trust and love. At 21, working as an engineer and pursuing advancement through night classes, I met Kylie, a recent university grad. I met her at a corporate event where I represented an engineering company while she worked part-time as a sales rep for another firm. We hit it off instantly, and by day's end I had her number, promising to call. "Got a hot date, Mark?" my roommate teased. We had agreed to share expenses to save money. Something like that. "Is this the girl from the conference?" "Yeah." I finally mustered up the courage to call. I smirked. "Back off, Dave. Just wait a couple of days not to seem too eager." "Trust me." She was thrilled when I called and eager to meet. After applying aftershave, I felt confident, not wanting to look unkempt. Despite a decent job, finances were tight, but I felt comfortable. We agreed to meet at a local bar, taking things step by step. I typically avoided dinner on first dates to sidestep the free meal scenario. Entering the bar, I spotted her on a stool, already enjoying her drink. Her eyes lit up when she saw me, and my heart raced. Over drinks, we opened up. She confessed her temporary role in the corporation, chosen for her looks, attracting unwanted attention from married men. It disgusted her, and I understood her frustration. While my mother's infidelity was known to me, I discovered that both genders were equally guilty of cheating. Researching online statistics, I was shocked by the high number of men and women admitting to extramarital affairs. Articles in Australia portrayed us as notorious cheaters. "You were a perfect gentleman," she said, holding my hand. "You maintained eye contact and remained professional until asking for my number. You were genuine. I just wish you were single." I assured her of my single status, vouching for myself through my friends. She smiled, expressing her trust. Having been hurt before, we took it slow at first, meeting for coffee or drinks during the initial weeks. On the third night, we shared our first kiss over drinks. Knowing about each other's family backgrounds, it felt right, and we both sensed it. Soon, drinks turned into dinner, and a week later, we made love for the first time at my apartment. A month later, she confessed her love, and I reciprocated. Despite my father's past, Kylie had won my heart. As she found a stable job, we discussed serious matters like living together, buying a house, and starting a family. We agreed to buy a house together before marriage, luckily avoiding the housing boom in Australia. However, due to her bad credit history, she couldn't co-sign on the mortgage. My father stepped in as a co-borrower, saving the day. Kylie was deeply grateful to him, and her parents adored me. 3 months after moving into our new home, I proposed, and our engagement and wedding plans were met with joy. Marrying Kylie was the happiest day of my life. We exchanged vows in a park, surrounded by loved ones, both grinning with happiness as we committed to each other. Our honeymoon, a week on a Pacific island, led to the discovery of her pregnancy. 9 months later, our beautiful daughter was born, followed by a son 18 months later. Deciding 2 children were plenty, she opted against surgery, instead choosing birth control. She balanced motherhood with part-time work until both kids reached middle school, then resumed full-time employment. By our mid-40s, I was a regional manager for engineering companies, often traveling. Kylie ran her own real estate office, occasionally visiting the CBD headquarters. Our daughter moved out to live with her boyfriend, while our son pursued university studies. Married for over 20 years, our love remained strong. Though I could admire other women, my heart belonged to Kylie, and I never strayed. My father's experience always lingered in my thoughts. I should have been more vigilant, seeing the signs earlier. When I finally acknowledged the truth, I knew I had to prepare for the worst. "You never think it'll happen to you." "Do you think she's cheating?" Dave asked, surprise evident. "Buddy, she adores you." I was naive, Dave. I hoped our relationship would improve once Steve left, but her behavior resembles my mother's. The thought of that woman made my blood boil. I barely interacted with her over the past 2 decades. She attended my wedding, but only because my father insisted. Now married to Naomi and retired, he urged me to extend the invitation. I complied reluctantly, feeling pressured not to appear as the villain. Besides occasional texts about her seldom visited grandchildren, I kept my distance. Kylie understood it and didn't push for a relationship with her either. "What's your plan? Gather evidence and leave her if she's cheating, or how?" "I have ways. Lately she's been unusually secretive, my fault for trusting her. Now I'm preparing for the worst, meeting with a private investigator Monday to confirm suspicions. No need for photos, just evidence. It's a shame you can't divorce for infidelity." "True, but early defense can help." Luckily, she waited until the kids were out. "Plus, there are details in our lives she's overlooked that could help." He sympathized, patting my shoulder. "I'm sorry, buddy." Sipping my beer, I confessed, "Me too. Can't stop loving her until I'm sure. Maybe I'm just paranoid, but the signs are there." The next morning, I visited Dad. Seeing my troubled expression, he offered a beer. In patience, he and Naomi, still deeply in love, reminded me of their enduring bond. Though their initial relationship was short-lived, Dad wanted her as his wife. "I suspect Kylie's having an affair," I sighed. Naomi and Dad muttered, "Not again." "I'll hire a PI Monday." "The signs are clear, Dad. Same signs you mentioned with Mom. She's read a manual on infidelity evasion, it seems. But I woke up. What's the plan?" I smirked. Naomi chuckled, sensing my grim expression. Dad, I'll transfer my house to you. Kylie's name isn't on the mortgage. Legally, we own it. When I'm gone, she's a tenant. I'll gift you the house by removing my name from the deed, as per state and federal law. Then we sign a lease. After the divorce, I'll outline how to legally evict her if needed. Thought this through? Naomi asked. Kylie knew our terms on fidelity. She breaks them, she's out. No alimony or support. Thankfully, I won't fund a cheater. I sipped my beer, vexed. If I'm wrong... Returning home, Kylie lounged on the couch, greeting me warmly. Where were you? She asked. Just talked with Dad about a job, I replied. Suspicions gnawed at me, lacking concrete evidence of her wrongdoing. If she was unfaithful, it wasn't with someone she saw daily. I dreaded the possibility of sudden girls' nights out. Despite occasional late work nights, she assured me of her love, but doubts lingered. The idea of her betraying me sickened me, yet without proof, I had to trust her, albeit cautiously. Monday arrived, and I went to work as usual. Despite our routine breakfast and affectionate exchanges, I harbored plans to meet a PI at lunch to monitor Kylie. After 2 decades of marriage, it was unsettling to find myself hiring a detective, reminiscent of old detective movies. She noticed my surprise and, with a smile, detailed the process and costs. Will she notice the money movements? No, we have separate accounts but share one for bills. Why suspect an affair? I recounted my mother's infidelity, my father's discovery, and our current situation. How's your bed life? She probed. Started well after our son left, but slowed 6 months back. I'd have closeness nightly if possible. Observed changes in her behavior? Yes, subtle ones. Enough for suspicion. I grinned. Not a full communist parade, but enough red flags. She outlined services, including phone tapping and surveillance, admitting some might be legally murky. I clarified it wasn't a permanent affair unless I was blind. I had no clue if she was meeting someone during lunch, working late, or seeking occasional flings. I just wanted the truth. Given time to ponder, I'd initiate surveillance next week. Giving up closeness was tough, unsure of her fidelity. The idea of sharing her made me uneasy. I could have feigned illness, but honesty prevailed. I wasn't interested, rejecting her advances, likely puzzling her. She queried if work stressed me, and I, preoccupied, confirmed. She reaffirmed her love as always. I called Wednesday, initiating surveillance. Doubts nodded, wondering if it was all in my head. Despite evidence from the investigation, it took a month of resistance for her infidelity to surface. Meanwhile, I immersed myself in literature on cheating spouses, prepared for a marital breakdown. I began preparations, assembling an evacuation bag and moving belongings to the car. Workers knew I'd be leaving soon. I just needed to set a date. Our home was solely in my father's name now, and my wife wasn't mentioned in the lease. Hopefully, she'd be out within a few months. It was Friday evening, and I arrived home as usual. Typically, Kylie would be in the living room, enjoying TV and wine. We'd order takeout, chat about our week, cuddle, and head to bed. Fridays were usually great, especially since the kids moved out. We'd make love all weekend. But this time I heard her bustling in the bathroom, which struck me as cliché. I grabbed a beer and settled on the couch in darkness, waiting for her. When she emerged, instead of the expected attire, she wore a colorful blouse, short skirt, stockings, and heels, with styled hair and makeup. She looked stunning, though it wasn't for me. It took a moment for me to realize. Oh, Mark, I didn't realize you were here. I arrived home at my usual time, Kylie. You seem pretty occupied getting ready for whatever you have planned. Where are you off to? She hesitated. I have a date tonight, Mark. With John from work. Just a work thing. It was a blatant lie. I knew John, her affair partner, from her company's head office. He was married with kids around our age. I'm not sure what she expected me to do, but there comes a point when a man washes his hands of it all. If she thought I'd beg or plead, she didn't know me. I stood up, meeting her eyes as I approached. She flinched, and I smiled, heading to the kitchen. Aren't you going to say anything, Mark? No. She had no clue how ready I was. We were both good at pretending, but I wasn't going to deceive her with lies. Fair enough. I'll be back later. We'll talk then. I didn't respond, but followed her to the door. She glanced back, looking uncertain. Whether it was guilt or not, I didn't care anymore. Good night, Mark, she murmured. Goodbye, Kylie. She likely understood my unspoken message, but perhaps she thought I'd tolerate it like those other men. But I wasn't going to be a betrayed man. I wouldn't stand for it. I had no interest in open marriages or any of that. It undermines, degrades, and completely disregards the marriage vows. Once she departed, I sprang into action, grabbing my evacuation bag and another suitcase. I loaded them into the car. Thankful for modern technology, I handled everything online or through phone apps. Our debt was minimal, just one credit card, which I promptly paid off and canceled. After settling upcoming bills, I transferred most of our joint savings to my account, leaving her enough for a couple of months' expenses. With possession being 9/10 of the law and the house in my name, she'd soon realize she was on her own. Walking through the now-tainted memories of our home, I sighed, sipping my beer. I had 3 calls to make, one easy, the other 2 daunting. Dad, she's confirmed she's cheating. She admitted she's going on a date tonight. The plan starts now. Where are you off to? Adelaide, new job for a year. After the divorce, back to Sydney. That's the plan. Got it, son. I'll keep your whereabouts under wraps. New number? Sorting it out on arrival. We'll send my address. Drive safe and stay smart. Dad, I'm just leaving a cheater. Feel like history repeating. You've done nothing wrong, Mark. Find peace. Move on. We love you. Kids? No, not yet. Thanks, Dad. Talk soon. Calling my kids was tough. First, my daughter. She cried hearing it. Heartbreaking. I reassured her of my love, but I'm leaving for now. We'll email new details. As for my son, he took it stoically, calling his mom a cheat. He only asked what I'd do about him. I'll find him and tell his wife the truth. No revenge, Steve. This is real life, not some made-up story. I'm heartbroken right now, but all I'll do is wait for the divorce and then somehow rebuild my life. I'll only be 46 when it happens. Can she demand counseling? Our marriage and divorce laws are different. Forget about those stories based on state laws. As long as we've lived apart for 12 months, I can file for divorce. I won't even be required to attend court, though I will just to make sure everything goes smoothly. She can't demand counseling. After 20 years of marriage, Steve, be careful. You know how tricky the courts can be if she's persistent enough. Then I'll just take my evidence to the counselor, put the pictures in front of them, and ask them if they'll stay married to the woman who's cheating on them. Okay, Dad. Take care of yourself and keep in touch when you get to where you're going. I'll keep you in the loop, as I believe Mom will be contacting me. She knows I'll protect you. Thank you, Steve. We'll talk soon. That was it. I left Kylie a brief note mentioning my departure and that my father would contact her. No explanation given, leaving it as a surprise. I notified our children as my father had done. If her parents inquire, I'll share proof if necessary. I left my wedding ring on the coffee table with the note and copies of evidence, keeping the originals. Driving away from the house, I felt a weight lift. I booked a hotel outside the city to plan my move to Adelaide. Taking 2 weeks, I explored small towns along the way. In Adelaide, colleagues welcomed me and showed me around. I chose a modern apartment in North Adelaide, opting not to buy due to high prices. I planned to return to Sydney after a year. Once settled, I updated my family on my new location. Charlotte called right away, eager to visit. I missed her terribly, so I arranged for her to fly over for a month. My son was wrapping up his studies, planning to visit me for Christmas, a mere 3 months away. Meanwhile, my father updated me on Kylie's activities. Did you know she didn't come home until the next morning? Yes, I replied. I held off on interrupting the private investigators, curious about her actions that night. They went to dinner, had a romantic evening, and spent the night in a city hotel. Satisfied, I thanked the investigators and settled their fees, as their services were no longer needed. Later, my father informed me of Kylie's reaction upon discovering the note, evidence, and my absence. She called hysterically, contacted our children and her family, but I ignored her calls and marked her emails as spam. A week later, I confronted her with the lease and house ownership documents. She realized the situation was legally binding and had 3 months to find a new home or face eviction by the police. Despite still residing there, my father sensed she intended to move out. Has she inquired about me? Certainly. She's asked about your family, kids, friends, even your workplace. She's consumed by guilt for discarding our 20-year bond. Has she offered any explanation? Not really. She's remorseful, sure, but it's the same story as your mother's. Sorry for being caught, not for the infidelity. Cheaters often live in a delusion where they think they're blameless. They claim it was just physical, but I never strayed for mere physicality. Even in my 30s and 40s I had offers, but I stayed true to my vows because I loved my wife. I found love again with Naomi, Mark. Take time to heal. Grieve your marriage, and when you're ready, welcome someone new into your life. There are countless good women out there. Thanks, Dad. Love you, son. Work became my refuge, keeping me occupied. I traveled across South Australia, visiting stores and suppliers, and spent weekends exploring the Barossa Valley. Divorce transformed me into a firm negotiator, unwilling to compromise unless it benefited my company. Fortunately, my bosses were pleased with my performance, and even suggested I stay in Adelaide permanently. A month after settling into my apartment, my daughter visited. At the airport, she joyfully shouted, "Daddy," and ran into my arms. We spent a week together, and despite my work commitments, I prioritized our time. During our conversations, she revealed that her mother had bombarded her with calls, attempting to justify her actions. Reluctantly, I showed her the evidence I had. As she read, tears streamed down her face, and she expressed her anger toward her mother. Despite assuring her of her mother's love, I feared it would take a long time, if ever, for her to forgive her. The day she departed was painful for both of us, knowing she wished to stay for my sake. We embraced for what felt like an eternity before she had to go. Throughout the months of my marriage crumbling, I remained stoic, harboring more anger than sorrow. However, as my daughter drove away, I couldn't hold back tears, realizing the depth of my loneliness. Yet, her visit rejuvenated me, and I found solace in nightly conversations with her, frequent calls from my son and promises of support from my siblings. My father kept me updated on developments, while old colleagues from Sydney reached out for casual chats and laughs, offering a semblance of comfort amidst the turmoil. About 6 weeks before Christmas, lightning struck once more. Strolling through the aisles of the nearby supermarket, I found myself in a state of boredom. Grocery shopping used to be a joyful activity with Kylie, filled with laughter and goofiness. As I reached for a bottle of salad dressing, I collided with another shopper reaching for the same item. Our eyes met in surprise. "I think I startled you," I admitted. "No, my fault entirely. I didn't see you there. Please take the bottle." "I'll find something else," she insisted. "But it's the last one," I replied with unexpected confidence. I proposed, "How about this? You take the bottle, and we grab coffee afterward." Struck by her touch and captivated by her beauty, I extended my hand. "I'm Mark." Her smile illuminated her face as she replied, "I'm Jennifer." Sensing her soft skin as we shook hands, I asked, "Do you often meet men in supermarkets, Mark?" I chuckled. "No, you're the first." "And are you single? If not, I'll retract my invitation, but if you are, I hope you'll accept." She had shoulder-length brunette hair and wore thin-rimmed black glasses that accentuated her bright blue eyes and small nose, with full natural lips and a classically beautiful face. I couldn't guess her age, despite my curiosity. I restrained myself from sizing her up, though I figured she was shorter than me by about 6 inches. Her smile suggested she liked what she saw. "I'd love to grab coffee. Can I have your number?" After exchanging numbers, she texted, "I'll finish shopping in about half an hour, then head home to put things away. But I can meet you in a couple of hours if you'd like." "Are you local?" I asked. "Yes, I live nearby," she replied. "Same here. I avoid long drives just for groceries. Let me know where you'll be, and I'll meet you there." Moving the cart ahead, she rested a hand on my forearm. "See you soon, Mark. It's been too long since I've had a date." At the coffee shop, I caught her tone and met her gaze, sensing the pain mirrored in her eyes, a reflection of my own struggles. "I'll text you once I'm home and let you know where to find me." Finishing my shopping, I hurried home, storing everything away before showering and changing. Before leaving, I texted Jennifer about meeting at a nearby coffee shop I enjoyed, and she responded, mentioning she frequented the same spot and wondered if we'd crossed paths before. I'll admit I felt a bit nervous waiting for her. Though I dated my wife throughout our marriage, this was my first real date in 20 years. When Jennifer arrived, she seemed overdressed but stunning in a sundress. After getting drinks, we talked and got to know each other. Jennifer confessed she was amazed by my confidence in asking her out at the supermarket. "When you touched my hand, Mark, I felt something," she admitted, blushing but shaking her head at the idea of it being just her imagination. "I've read about such connections, but I always thought they were just stories." As she extended her hand, we shared a smile, and as I grasped it, she whispered, "I felt it again. Definitely from my side." We didn't delve too deep into our stories, especially on a first date. I recognized her name and noticed her bare left hand, though remnants of a ring were evident. She worked as a kindergarten teacher, but had no children of her own, residing solo in a small apartment with a handful of close friends. Her parents and younger sister lived in the city, and she revealed she was 35 years old. "Oh," I responded. "I'm, 45. "Your age doesn't matter, Mark. What matters is the kind of person you are," she assured me, prompting me to admit my recent breakup. Seeing her anxious expression, I suggested another drink, sensing the need for an explanation, though reluctant to divulge everything on our first encounter. She surprised me by saying, "No, Mark, I trust you for now. I can see you're hurting." "Is it that obvious?" "I've seen the same look in the mirror," she confessed, taking my hand and offering comfort. "It gets easier day by day. Eventually, the person who broke your heart won't matter anymore." With a reassuring smile, she added, "And then perhaps you'll meet someone who begins to mend it. It may take time, but it happens. My father always said the same thing." "Your dad's got some wisdom," I remarked as we polished off our second glass and headed outside. Approaching her car, I felt a bit uncertain. Should I kiss her, hug her, or just bid her farewell? Opting for a hug, I found myself reluctant to let go, surprised by the intensity of my attraction to her, yet eager to explore it further. It seems she felt the same, neither of us wanting to break the embrace. "Give me a ring this week, Mark. I'd love to chat again. How about tonight?" Her giggle tugged at my heartstrings. "Feel free to call any time." That night and every night after, I dialed her number. I suggested Friday dinner to avoid disrupting her regular teaching schedule. When she agreed, I couldn't contain my excitement, practically dancing around my apartment after we hung up. At Thursday's conference, my upbeat mood sparked comments, with everyone assuming I was seeing someone. To avoid jinxing it, I mentioned my coffee shop date and upcoming dinner with the same person, stating I preferred dating one woman at a time. Opting for a restaurant with stellar reviews, I dressed smartly despite its casual vibe. Upon arriving, I found Jennifer already there, looking nervous. Without hesitation, I leaned in for a kiss, which she reciprocated. "Wow," she whispered. "If that's how you greet me, I can't wait for our second date." As we were seated in a cozy booth, our conversation flowed effortlessly. We split appetizers and desserts, enjoying each other's company and losing track of time amidst captivating conversation and shared glances. The meal was excellent, and the service was attentive yet unobtrusive. I settled the bill and suggested heading to Holland for another drink, which Jennifer readily agreed to. Leading her there, I chose a tranquil bar with soothing piano music in the background. Jennifer sipped a cocktail while I enjoyed a bourbon. Eventually, she asked what was on my mind, and I poured out my thoughts about our lives, our children, and our careers. Then, I opened up about my father's struggles, my strained relationship with my mother, their divorce, and how it made me realize my own marriage was crumbling. I confessed that I was technically still married but separated, relocating to finalize the divorce. I assured Jennifer that if she saw my actions as cheating, I wouldn't hold it against her. My marriage was effectively over. The legal process was just a formality. I explained that I would return to Sydney to complete it, and that if she were to meet someone in Adelaide, we'd need to discuss our options. Being away from my kids in Sydney was tough, and the thought always weighed on me. I missed them every day. Jennifer shared her own story, revealing that her ex-husband was charismatic but controlling. Ignoring her parents' warnings, she fell in love at 19 with a man 6 years her senior. Initially, she didn't notice the warning signs, but gradually, he isolated her from family and friends, forced to work and serve as his maid. Her situation only worsened over time. I stood up to him, which he saw as disrespect toward him. Whether it was my clothes or coming home late, he accused me of cheating. If I spent money on myself, he called me financially irresponsible. There was never any positivity from him. He was always negative. "I doubt he'd ever say anything good about you, Jennifer," I whispered. I knew I had to get away. He was unstable, and I feared he'd either hurt me physically, sending me to the hospital, or completely break me. Tears streaming down her face, she called her father, begging him to rescue her. He arrived with 2 uncles and friends. Her ex-husband tried to fight them off, but facing men was different from attacking a woman. With a single punch, her father subdued him, and they tied him to a chair while helping her move out. She immediately sought help from the police, getting a restraining order and an AVO against him. It's been 7 years since our divorce, and he has no idea where I am. I've hardly dated Mark. Fear has consumed me for so long. She looked into my eyes, her own searching. Then I met you, and emotions I hadn't felt in ages flooded back. I never felt them for him. She sat behind the wheel, but I sensed she wasn't in a condition to drive, so I offered to take her home instead. Pausing in front of an apartment building, I remembered considering it before choosing my current place. After walking her to the door, she hesitated, so I took the initiative, pulling her close for another kiss. I had a wonderful night, Jennifer. I'd love to do it again this week. Any night works for me. I'm a pretty good cook. How about dinner? I'll bring something too. I'm not too shabby in the kitchen myself, she grinned. Let's make it a cook-off. Wednesday sound good? Perfect, Mark. And expect your usual nightly call tomorrow. How about the beach? Just want to have fun? When I arrived home, I waited until I was settled on the couch with a beer before checking my phone. Had a great night, Mark. Wanted you to stay, but let's take it slow. Agreed. Bring clothes Wednesday. Too early for more than sleep, Mark? Tired of sleeping alone, Jennifer? Me too. My bed feels empty since you. Picking you up at 9 a.m. Breakfast and beach. Your favorite color? Usually blue. On a woman, black or red. Perfect. See you, Mark. Sweet dreams, beautiful. The last message was a heart-stopper. The next morning, Jennifer honked outside. She greeted me inside, joking about needing a broom for the men. After breakfast, we hit the beach, spending the day there, occasionally cooling off in the water or drinking. Love to, but don't want to leave. Change and come back for drinks? Stay the night, she whispered. I dashed into the house, quickly packed a bag and hurried to her place. Out of breath, I knocked, and she laughed, pulling me inside. The next morning, she made breakfast, and we lounged around her apartment all day. The silence between us was comfortable. No rush, Jenny, I whispered. We have time. I realized I was already in love with her, hoping it wasn't just a rebound from my recent divorce, but I wanted to believe it was fate that brought us together at the supermarket that day. We didn't text much during the day due to her teaching schedule, but we spoke every night. My coworkers knew I was seeing someone, and I informed my family in Sydney about her. My dad updated me on Kylie's situation. She was close to moving out and still searching for me. Wednesday night arrived eagerly. Jennifer prepared a delightful dinner, and her dessert struck a chord with me. They say the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, I chuckled, patting my belly. I love you, she whispered, turning to kiss me. I love you too, I replied with a smile. Isn't it too soon? She questioned. Not at all, Jenny. I knew from our first date that you're the one I want to spend my life with. And if being closer to your kids means moving, I'm in, I assured her. Are you sure? She asked. My heart says yes, I affirmed. Let's see how it goes. That night, she visited my apartment for the first time, finding it a bit bachelor-like but clean and tidy, understanding it was just a temporary residence. When marriage was mentioned, she blushed and turned away. Her wrist gently held, I confessed. I was already contemplating it, Jenny. I can't recall feeling this much love since Kylie. Not because she hurt me, but maybe it's the freshness, maybe age and experience. But I love you, Jennifer Morris. One day, I want to be Jennifer Williams, she whispered in response. For the next few weeks, we were inseparable, spending every night together, mostly at her nicer apartment. I kept my kids updated, but they wanted to meet her before talking more. Before Christmas, I asked my son about his mother. I told her I wouldn't be there, he said. She probably knew you weren't in Sydney, he added. I'm not talking to her much either. My sister would visit soon. Are you sure you want to leave, Dad? My son asked. We all are considering moving there to be closer to you, he added. Jennifer squeezed my hand, showing support. Think it through, Steve, my son advised. I know it's a big step, he added. Trust me, Dad. You're more important, he reassured. Jennifer looked at me, surprised. I still need to go back for the divorce, I reminded. Just don't rush it, my son cautioned. I know, but leaving your mother was planned, I explained. To hell with her, my son declared. Jennifer accompanied me to the airport when my daughter arrived, bringing her husband, Tom. Charlotte rushed into my arms, reminiscent of our joyful reunions after school. Tears flowed as I introduced them, evoking an emotional moment. The next day, my son surprised me at my apartment door, and we shared a heartfelt hug. Jennifer remarked on our resemblance, though I had already confirmed paternity. Later, I drove us to Jennifer's parents' house. I unloaded a trunk full of gifts at Jennifer's parents' house. Her mother adored my daughter instantly, and I'm certain they welcomed my son like a grandchild. I video called my father for Christmas wishes, while my extended family celebrated with him. Meanwhile, Kylie had moved in with her parents after her affair partner was ousted and she faced job repercussions. My kids documented the day on social media, though I found little interest in it. Despite old friends reaching out, I focused on finalizing my divorce and returning to Sydney. Christmas with Jennifer's family was delightful. I surprised her with a beautiful necklace and bracelet, hinting at our future together. She was thrilled and promised to wear them often, her eyes shining with gratitude. After a hearty lunch, her father offered me a beer, and we ended up in his garage, tinkering with an old sports car. Jenny seems happier lately, Mark. Leaving Adelaide might be good for her. Are you okay with staying here indefinitely? I'll stick around for her, and my kids will move closer, I confirmed. How soon can you finalize the divorce? Probably a few months at most. I've been honest with Jenny. I heard she's been giving you a hard time. Yeah, it might take up to 6 months. I only had solid evidence recently, I explained. He shook his head in disgust. I've heard about this cheating mess. Why get married if you can't stay faithful? Ever heard of betrayed men? He seemed familiar with the term. Yeah, it's messed up. Jenny's ex-husband was both a cheater and an abuser. What? He laid a hand on my shoulder. She hardly knew about the cheating, but he was doing it with anyone who caught his eye. She loves you, Mark. Just don't hurt her, he said softly. I nearly destroyed her. I love her more than anything in this world, Daddy, she interjected, smiling. We've both been through pain, so we support each other. We stayed until late afternoon, and my daughter drove us home after a few drinks. Jennifer and I went to our bedroom. If the day was good, New Year's Eve was even better. I took her to a downtown hotel where we had dinner and drinks. Back in our room, champagne awaited us. Any New Year's wishes? I asked. I want us to live here together, she said. Deal, and I want you to propose as soon as your divorce is final. I'm already looking at rings, she said, holding me closer. I want a baby, she whispered. We'll start a family together, I assured her. My children left a few days later. Though reluctant to see them go, I explained I might stay in Adelaide. I told my father the same, and he promised to visit whenever possible. The following months were filled with happiness. I applied for a lease and moved in with Jennifer. Though it wasn't a fairy tale, romance, it was real life, and I've never been happier. We faced the specter of my divorce and lingering trust issues, but we committed to open communication. Our bond strengthened. Being with her uplifted me. She inspired me to be a better man, and her love prompted me to buy an engagement ring before my return to Sydney. Jennifer was more nervous than I during the flight, aware of potential challenges ahead. My dad greeted us at the airport, along with my siblings and kids. We'd be staying with him during the divorce proceedings. I'd already filed the papers, but Kylie was contesting it. Surprisingly, I hadn't seen her in 12 months. I've met all the legal requirements, I stated. I've been in Adelaide for a year, and she hasn't been with me. True, but she may still argue, my lawyer replied. But no judge will entertain her claims, nor mandate counseling. Is Jennifer your partner? Yes, and once the divorce is final, we'll marry and start a family, Jennifer interjected. I'll contact her lawyer, my lawyer concluded. 3 days later, my attorney said Kylie would sign, making it a joint petition if I talked to her. The case would proceed smoothly. My lawyer suggests I speak to her, I told Jennifer. You're with Jennifer now, starting a new family. Are you still angry? My dad asked. Not really. Let her have her say, then let's move forward, I assured him. The following week, we were in court. Once she signed, the judge would approve our divorce, and I'd be free a month after the divorce decree. I hadn't seen Kylie since she left for her date. As we entered the room with my attorney, Kylie looked shocked to see me with another woman. Ignoring her, I ensured Jennifer was comfortable, holding her hand on the table while she leaned on my shoulder. Finally, I faced Kylie. To be frank, she looked terrible. I'd heard that Kylie's life had been tough since I left her. I had no sympathy for her at all. She made a choice that cost her everything. She has no contact with our daughter, and our son barely speaks to her. My whole family cut ties with her. Even her own family was disappointed but felt obliged to accept her once my father kicked her out. Speak up, Kylie, so we can finalize this divorce. I want to move on with my life. You're in the past where you belong. Who is she? She asked quietly. That's Jennifer Morris. After the divorce, I'll propose to her. She'll soon be Jennifer Williams. I'll gladly accept his proposal because I want to be his wife and the mother of his children, Jennifer added. Once she says yes, we'll plan a simple wedding. Hopefully by then she'll be pregnant. I could see the pain in Kylie's eyes. I still knew her well. You bounced back pretty fast, she observed. I wasn't the one who cheated, Kylie. I remember the evidence I found. You never gave me an explanation. I left that night, and you said nothing. You didn't fight for us. I didn't need to fight because I was your husband. So, in the end, you weren't worth fighting for. You betrayed me, Kylie. After 20 years together, you showed your true colors. We discussed monogamy and fidelity. I warned you that if you were like my mother, I'd leave. You made my decision easier. Do you even regret it? Don't bother answering. You don't regret it. You regret getting caught, not exposing our marriage as a sham. You're just like my mother. Her lawyer interjected. I glared at him. Back off. If you don't like it, she wants to talk. I have the right to speak too. I made a mistake. Treason isn't a mistake, it's a series of decisions. Whether he seduced you or not doesn't matter. You slept with him and lost the right to call me your husband. It was just lovemaking. And there it is. The phrase so many use to justify their actions. But for most, lovemaking means love. As my wife, it should have been me, not some idiot from work. We talked about this before we married, Kylie. I warned you what would happen if you cheated. My mother cheated too. Once I realized what you were doing, I gathered proof. Even if you said no that night, I would have left. But you disrespected me. You took all our money. No, I gave it to my father, who still owns it. He'll sell it and give me most of the money. You didn't deserve a chance, Mark. Where do you live now? None of your business. Our children can choose who they spend special days with. She fell silent, knowing her words wouldn't change my mind. Just sign the papers and move on, Jennifer urged. He's moved on. We love each other and are starting a new life together. I comforted him when he needed it most. He's mine, heart and soul. I didn't mean to, she said tearfully. I still love you. Well, Mark replied coldly, that's not my concern anymore. We're going nowhere. Her lawyer interjected. Just sign and end this. He's moving on. Your marriage is over. Sign and move on. He placed the papers in front of her and she signed, tears in her eyes. Do I need to stay? I asked my attorney. No, you're free to go. You'll get the decree by mail. Then we're done, I said, rising with Jennifer and leaving the room. I'm sorry, Mark, she said. I'll always love you. Well, the apology meant little now. Those last 3 words still lingered. Yet the woman holding my hand was the one I loved, soon to be my bride in just over a month. Outside, my father, Naomi, Stephen, and Charlotte awaited us at the cafe. Motioning with my head, we headed to the nearest pub. After buying a drink for each of us, we sat down and I briefed them on the conversation. As I spoke, they perked up, realizing it was mostly me doing the talking. What did she look like? Charlotte asked. Pretty rough, definitely showing her age, Jennifer murmured in my ear. Did she sign the papers? My father inquired. Nodding, we raised our glasses and took sips. I went through something similar with your mother. I'm sure Kylie said what she needed to, just like your mother did with me. She wasn't blaming me, son. Mom was nagging you about working too hard, Stephen noted. Did she try to justify it? He asked. Yeah, the usual excuse. It was just lovemaking, I replied. What with these women claiming it was only lovemaking, Charlotte mused, almost to herself. I'm committed to my husband. If I want something, I turn to him, Naomi stated, blushing as she realized her audience included her father and grandfather. We shared a laugh. Well said, girl. Those are words to live by, my father praised. And if he needs a little help, he knows what to do, Naomi added. Naomi, that's my grandfather, Charlotte exclaimed. He's not dead, and neither am I. I'm 65 and still capable, Naomi retorted. Your grandfather and I promised to be faithful after our failed marriages, my father shared. I'm just relieved it's almost over, I admitted. Infidelity is unforgivable. If you were younger, maybe I'd feel trapped, Naomi reflected, glancing at my dad. But he always supported me. We stayed in Sydney a few more days. Discussing plans with family, Charlotte and Tom agreed to come to Adelaide, while Stephen was still deciding but likely to join us. Surprisingly, my sister offered to join us for dinner, arriving alone with news of her own broken marriage. You can stay with us while you work things out, Jennifer offered warmly. Your family now, and my family is yours too. We're selling the house here and moving to Adelaide, I chimed in. Housing prices are more reasonable there. We'll buy a big house with room for our growing family, Jennifer added, placing my hand on her stomach. I'll be carrying our first child soon. How many kids do you want, Mark? She asked. As many as you want, Jenny. I love being a dad. A month later, I received the divorce decree, marking the official end of my marriage to Kylie Daniels. I never heard from her again, but word had it she left Sydney within 6 months of our divorce. According to Stephen, who was her sole point of contact, She relocated to Queensland to make a fresh start. After that, I stopped inquiring, and Stephen ceased updating me, as I no longer had any interest in her whereabouts. Just 2 days after receiving the divorce papers, I proposed to Jennifer on the beach, surrounded by our families. She could hardly speak before I slid the engagement ring onto her finger. 6 months later, we tied the knot on the same beach, just a short distance from our new home. As she approached me in her wedding attire, her pregnancy was unmistakable, yet my soon-to-be wife radiated happiness as her father escorted her toward me, offering her hand. Our smiles were uncontainable as we faced the celebrant. My dear ones, we are gathered here today. Update: I'm nearing retirement, and life couldn't be sweeter. Jennifer and I have been happily married for nearly 2 decades, cherishing every moment from our first day to our wedding day. 6 months after our return to Adelaide, both my daughter and son relocated here. My daughter is happily married with 3 grandchildren, while my son and his husband have adopted 2 children. A year post-divorce, my father and Naomi moved in with us in Adelaide, where my father peacefully passed away after nearly a decade to support Naomi. We provided her a spacious granny apartment, ensuring her independence. My sister swiftly moved in with us after her own marital woes, bringing along her children. With our help, she found stability and eventually remarried, enjoying 15 years of wedded bliss. My brother remained in Sydney and maintained a relationship with our estranged mother. At 60, we learned of her passing. Despite our distant connection, Jennifer suggested we attend her funeral, embodying our commitment to being compassionate individuals. Surprisingly, she had remarried and embraced her husband's children as her own. While they weren't unaware of our existence, they were taken aback by her reluctance to acknowledge her estrangement from 2 of her children. We refrained from explaining the reasons behind our estrangement, as funerals aren't the appropriate time. We simply paid our respects before returning home. With no remaining relatives in Sydney, within a year, my brother relocated to Adelaide to join us. Jennifer and I expanded our family, welcoming 2 boys and 2 girls. Despite our older children's excitement about having siblings and their willingness to babysit, Jennifer and I rarely ventured out. Nevertheless, our love remained strong, our bond unbroken, and we never went to bed angry. Our lives are just as vibrant now as they were when we first came together. Reflecting on my past, especially during my divorce, some may have preferred if I had reconciled with my ex-wife. However, what would have been the point? Leaving without a word hurt her more deeply. I remained silent for a year, until I returned to ensure the divorce was finalized. Fidelity was a cornerstone of our marriage, and she breached that trust. While some advocate for reconciliation, I don't believe trust can be fully restored after infidelity. Suspicion and resentment linger, often leading to eventual divorce. Instead, I chose an unconventional path. There was no desire for revenge, nor was there any hope for reconciliation. I simply moved on without Kylie, finding my true soulmate in Jennifer. I still believe our meeting in the supermarket was fateful. Though not religious, I'm reminded of old-world religions that speak of gods of fate. Are you ready, Mark? My wife, stunning in a red ball gown, interrupted my thoughts. You still have that old charm. Any news on the children? They're either on their way or getting ready to leave. And the younger ones, they'll manage fine without us for the evening, unless they set the place on fire. So we have time to ourselves. Absolutely. I love you, husband. I love you, wife. Here's to many more years of happiness. I hope so. I'll let the kids know we won't be staying long. They'll understand why.